Okay, hello and welcome to the pre-event with Emily. We're going to wait a little bit longer to have people joining in.
Cool.
Okay, I think we are at time, so let's begin. This is the first pre-event for Agile Meets Architecture, the conference that will happen in Berlin at the beginning of March. We have with us Emily that will talk about how technical leadership extends beyond design decisions into coaching, collaboration, and growing high-performing teams. Emily, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me here. I'm delighted to be invited to this event, and I hope that you'll have lots of questions. I've got a short presentation now about this topic. Technical leadership also means coaching, and then we'll take some questions and talk about what you're interested in. So perhaps, I don't know if my slides are being shared at the moment. Perhaps we could get them up on the screen. There we go, my slides. Excellent. So I've got a few things to say about this, but first let me introduce myself as well. My name is Emily Bache. I'm a technical coach. I'm based in Sweden, and I have written a book about technical coaching, which is my topic. And I also have this YouTube channel, although these days I mostly put out videos on the Modern Software Engineering channel, which Dave Farley hosts mostly. So this is kind of a bit about myself. I'm on social media. That's my email address if you want to contact me afterwards, or do say something on social media. Now, my starting point is usually that modern software development is really complex. And this is basically across the board. The kind of software we are trying to build is complex, and it's going to work in a very complex society and world. And usually the context that we're developing this software in is also complex, large organizations. So this is a kind of a picture of a large organization with many teams, and all of those teams are contributing to software that is going to contribute to the business of that organization. And this situation is typical for the kinds of organizations that I work with usually, is my role as a technical coach. And what I observe in the code is that it also reflects this complexity. The design of the classes and the methods is complex. And I've got this picture of spaghetti, because you've often got these large existing code bases that have possibly been around for years and years or even decades, and have accumulated design complexity over all of that time. And you can even talk about them having cruft. Cruft is a great word. It's what Martin Fowler usually talks about when he talks about this kind of thing. And it's, other people would say something like technical debt, or just difficult code that is expensive to work with and difficult to change. And it's usually the case that there are design decisions in the code that when the developer who made those design decisions put that in the code, it made sense and it was a good decision. But now when we're revisiting those decisions all these years later, it doesn't look quite so easy to understand, and it's contributing to complexity. So this is what we're facing as in software development. Then if I look at what there is that's actually addressing this kind of problem, in the teams, what I'm seeing happening is pull requests and code reviews as part of pull requests. And this being one of the only forums where cruft actually gets discussed, and one of the only opportunities where it might get addressed, actually. And this is okay, but pull requests are usually, the feedback is asynchronous, it's written, and it's happening afterwards, after that code has already been developed. So it's a little bit late, really, to be asking people to address cruft in their pull request. And I kind of feel that, I don't want to say don't do pull requests and don't do code reviews, because I think fundamentally it's a good idea to have people talking about code and helping one another to write better code. But I'm just wondering, is this really the best forum for the kind of technical leadership that's going to get us out of this complexity and this cruft and this technical debt? I'm not really seeing that. So then people will say, oh yeah, but in these days we have AI, and AI is going to change the game. So AI can sort out craft. But actually, I mean, this statistic here that Gen AI isn't actually very good at refactoring, and refactoring is a process for removing craft and improving design. And they only do it correctly 37% of the time. It's from this paper, Refactoring versus Refactoring. And it's a great title for a paper, but it's actually quite old now. This came out quite some time ago. And of course, the state of the art of AI and refactoring moves on rapidly all the time. But 37% is really quite bad. And I'm not sure that it's really improved that much since this paper came out. Maybe it has, but still, what they studied here was basically if they gave the AI tool some code and asked them to refactor it, they could then measure, did the design improve and do the test still pass afterwards? And they succeeded with both those things only 37% of the time. So maybe it's better now, but I still think this isn't a silver bullet that's going to sort out all coding cruft. And we can't just say, oh, this is a solved problem now. The other observation I have about AI is that the good engineering practices for working with AI, the people who are talking about the best ways to make use of these tools, I find that the engineering practices they're talking about are also the kinds of things that I would recommend even if you didn't have AI. Things like working in small iterations, using tests, those kinds of things work also when you haven't got an AI. So I kind of see the solution to the problem of craft and poor design is better engineering practices. And whether you're working with AI or not, we want to have technical excellence. We want to have good quality code. We want to use effective engineering practices to make sure that the code quality is always improving or at least not getting worse. And we are removing that craft when we see opportunities, when we're working in the same section of code where we need to increase the functionality, we can at the same time be removing that craft. And that is part of just everyday work. I think that's the best way to tackle this. So if we're going to get this to happen, technical excellence in teams working in the code, we're going to need some leadership, technical leadership. So I've come back to this picture here of your large organization with lots of teams, and I've put the architectural leadership there in the middle. Some organizations call these staff engineers. They're basically the technical leaders who have responsibility for cross-cutting concerns across many teams. Things like system performance and large-scale structural decomposition of your product, choice of technology. And these are all important architectural decisions that need to be made. And the thing is that they are important, but that's not really what I'm talking about. The kind of technical leadership I mean is happening much closer to the code and where the code is being written in the teams. And usually architectural people don't tend to get involved at that level. So I think there's a bit of a gap, and we need additional technical leadership in the form of technical coaching. And technical coaching is what I do. So I want to explain a bit more about that. Basically, it's a way to help teams. So a technical coach works with development teams. They're not full-time with any one team, just like architects aren't, but they are primarily concerned with the code and the way it's being written, teaching coding skills, building that engineering culture of addressing craft and technical debt, and helping those teams to manage the complexity that's inherent in their work. The particular form of technical coaching that I promote is called Samman, and that's what I wrote my book about. Samman is a Swedish word. It means together, and I live in Sweden, and I thought it was a good name for this, and it means you can Google it. So that's why I called it that. There's other ways to do technical coaching, of course. This is my particular approach. So in the Samman method for technical coaching, there are two main activities. There is learning hours and there is ensemble. So I'm going to say a bit more about those. So the learning hour, this is where you get the team together and we're going to learn something. It's like a training session, but quite short. And it's going to be hands-on, interactive with real coding exercises most of the time. And the focus is on building skills by working with simple examples. And I'm very inspired by Sharon Bowman. There are two of her books there on the slide. She's an instructional designer who's good at helping you to make your your training more interactive and more fun and more effective. So I take a lot of inspiration from that. And the kind of learning hour that I normally run would include an exercise, a code kata, and there are 3 examples of code katas on the screen here. You may have heard of FizzBuzz or Mars Rover or Vending Machine. These are all cute little problems that are fun to work on, and they're not very difficult. For many, many years, people have used these kinds of problems to learn skills like test-driven development. And that's often what I'm teaching alongside refactoring skills and how to handle legacy code. And these exercises are really good for practicing that kind of thing in a fun, safe environment and a problem that's not too difficult so that you can get more focus on the technique and less on the problem and how to solve it. So you can find lots of descriptions of code katas on the Samman coaching website. So that's part of what I do as technical coaching, building skills directly through training. But then the other part of the Samman method is ensemble. And this is where we are trying to build the same skills into the way the team works in their production code. So we're going to, again, work with the whole development team and collaborate and write code in their code base. And we're going to have the coach present as a kind of mentor. Because I observe that with these code katas, they're great for kind of getting people to understand the basics, but the production code is really complex compared with that. So there's gap, and people often find that it's difficult to transfer the skills from the exercise to the real situation. So as the coach, I'm coming with the team into their real code, helping them to see actually there are opportunities to do refactoring and to write tests and to improve the quality of the code in their production code and help them to do that safely. So that's what I'm doing in the ensemble. I'm coaching and I'm encouraging a good technical communication to happen and helping them to embed these skills and new ways of working into their situation. So this is really a form of technical leadership, and it's really happening close to where the code is being written. So the Samman method as a whole, as I mentioned, is working with teams. I find that if you're working with a whole team, then there's more chance that what you're teaching will stick after you leave, because they can kind of support one another after you're not there anymore. I usually begin with a kind of inspiration workshop to explore options and get to know the team and gain their trust. It's hard to coach a team if they don't trust you or don't know who you are. So there's a kind of warm-up meeting to get to know them. And then the coaching proceeds part-time over about 3 to 5 weeks, 10 half days, something like that. And we do learning hour, we do ensemble, we do retrospectives to try and promote this healthy culture. And then I'll move on to another team and work with them. And actually, if I was full-time in an organization, I might be able to coach more than one team at the same time. So like I say, you're not full-time with one team, you're kind of going around coaching a lot of teams. So the main activities of a technical coach then is you're kind of, well, obviously you need to get to know the team you're working with at that time, or generally look at the code for all of the teams that you get to work with and trying to identify opportunities where they can improve the quality of the code, where there are refactorings that they need to learn, where there are better tests that could be written. And instead of doing those things yourself, of course, you need to find an opportunity to work with that team so they can learn those skills and learn to do those things themselves. So you're going to be facilitating ensemble with those teams, and you're going to be preparing and leading learning hours with those teams. So there's a lot of hands-on working with the code and thinking about how to upskill teams and work with real engineering problems. And then, of course, there's a lot of the part of the role that perhaps is hidden from the team, which is where I'm communicating about what's going on with the other architecture team, with the other managers, with the product owners and business people, so that everyone is aware of the challenges that I'm seeing in the code and how I'm planning to address those. And also where I can communicate and they can say, oh, actually, my team has that problem too. And I can find a way to get to know more teams and bring them into my roster of coaching. So there's a lot of communication and kind of outreach and recruiting teams for coaching as well. So that is kind of in a nutshell what the technical coaching role is like. And I wanted to bring this back to this picture here of how this fits in with the architectural leadership in the organization. So like I say, a technical coach is not working with one team only. It is a form of technical leadership that complements what the architects are doing. I mean, the staff engineers, the architects are making all these really important decisions, the cross-cutting concerns and so on. But a lot of those things will be a lot easier if the teams themselves are working with well-factored code that manages complexity, that has tests, where the team members have got skills to work with that code. So I see it as very complementary to the architectural leadership and really part of the same effort. As a technical coach, I'm there to support the goals of the architecture group and to make it easier for them to achieve the rest of the goals that they have in the organization, manage that complexity, and see that the software is going to be successful and the people are going to be happy. So that's what it's all about, technical coaching. That was my last slide, and hopefully I've managed to explain a bit about what technical coaching is and how, what was my title? It was technical leadership also means coaching. And I really think that. So yeah. How are we doing?
I think now we are open to questions. You can type them in the LinkedIn chat or on YouTube, wherever you see fit, and they will just show up here.
Excellent. I've probably given you far too much information in too short a time or something. So maybe you need a moment to formulate your questions.
Okay, we have one that was posted on LinkedIn and that I just pasted now here. How do I get hired as a technical coach? Oh, okay, wait, we have more.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
we
No, I
can
can
start with
start
this.
with answering that one, and I can come back to the second question there. But how do you get hired? Well, it's not straightforward because a lot of organisations don't really have this as a position in their career structure, and they often haven't really identified a need for this. There's often this assumption that pull requests are enough to ensure code quality, and I, as I mentioned, I'm really not sure that's true. So it can be challenging to get hired as a technical coach. But I think the approach I've seen working with the people I know who've been very successful as coaches is first become an architect. So move through the ranks of developer, lead developer, get a role as architect or staff engineer, and start to do technical coaching as part of that role. I think that's a more productive way to get into it if your organization doesn't already have technical coaching as a role. So start doing it kind of part-time in your tech lead role, perhaps. And as you move into architectural leadership, perhaps you can make that a more formal part of your role. So that's my best advice, actually. So do come back if you've got any follow-up questions. But I think, yeah, architects have got a lot of freedom and they can do technical coaching and it will support the rest of their work. Okay, so then there was another question. How do you sell technical coaching to business leaders? Yeah, so this is a quite closely related question then. So I think it comes back to the cost of delay, the cost of poor code quality. Most of the organizations I work with, this is well understood by the business leadership that I mean, I guess it's perhaps an extreme example. One of my clients, they've got this code base that's like 30 years old. And the people who wrote it originally back in the 90s have obviously all retired by now. And well, not quite all of them, but most of them. And the code has been hugely successful. This product is sold to many, many customers. It's making a load of money for the business. And the business people are well aware that they can't get new features into this product as fast as they would like. at a reasonable cost because the quality of the code is so poor. So in that kind of extreme situation, it becomes very clear to the business people that if technical coaching can help to raise the code quality and improve the situation for developers so they can develop features more quickly, that has got immense business value. And they're willing to, of course, hire technical coaches in that situation. Great. Okay. Hopefully that's given you some clues. Basically point out the costs of technical debt and the value of technical coaching as an antidote to that. Okay, there was another question. Let me see if I can read.
Yes, I can read it out loud.
Okay, you can
Maybe
read
that
it.
helps
Great. This
because
is
it's
good.
a little bit too small there. Hi, Emily. Thank you for the presentation. I'm a senior backend engineer, currently unemployed, and would like to do some upskilling. Any recommendations apart from leveraging your code kata series?
Oh well, I'm very pleased that you found my code carters. That is definitely a good start for polishing your skills in like test design and refactoring and TDD. And there are a lot of resources available for free on the Samman Coaching website in terms of kata descriptions and on my GitHub with code starting positions. So that can be a fun thing to work on. The other thing that perhaps technical coaching is of course based in these technical skills that you can practice on those exercises, but there's a bunch of skills around mentoring, facilitating, teaching, and those skills for a lot of developers are not something you've needed in as part of a developer role. Even I mean, as a senior backend engineer, I'm sure you've had to do code reviews and mentoring more junior colleagues, but the this is often the part of the role that developers need more practice at. So I can talk a little bit about that side of things. I mean, the Samman Society has a few training courses which are for money, but we've also we host sometimes we host open space meetings where you can meet other technical coaches, which are free to attend. If you look on sammancoaching.org, there you should find a link to our next open space. So that you can come along and meet other coaches. And the other thing you can do is just organize like a meetup or a lunch and learn with perhaps some of those other coaches that you meet, or with other people who you know from other developers. And leading a learning hour should be something that you could do fairly straightforward, even if you've not done much facilitating before. That's kind of one of my goals, that the Samman Coaching website has got these descriptions of learning hours that you can use to lead a session, practice your facilitation skills. Often there's a video that you can get off YouTube somewhere, where demos that I've done or someone else has done to show the technique, so that the main work for you as the facilitator is to keep time, keep everyone talking, split people into pairs, go around and help them if they get stuck, and get everyone to discuss what they learned at the end. So leading learning hours is something that you could perhaps try doing with people you know and would be willing to let you give it a go. So maybe give that a try. Oh, thank you. I think someone posted the link to the Samman Coaching website. There's a lot of resources there, descriptions of learning hours and so on.
And we have another question. Any tips for coaching business leaders to identify that they would benefit from technical coaching? For example, they don't have measures for the cost of their existing code?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's, if the business leaders aren't aware of the state of the code, then that's obviously going to make it harder to explain the value of technical coaching to them. So, I mean, it seems to me part of their job is to understand the challenges that the developers face in their organization, and ways that they could be making their lives easier and helping them. So I guess there's always the DORA metrics. I think that they're possibly the best metrics we have for evaluating how good a development team is doing. The Accelerate book from 2018, it's a bit old now, outlines some of the things that they found in this multi-year research study into what really matters in software development for having high-performing elite teams and organizations. So I would obviously suggest to engineering leaders and architectural leaders that they should be measuring the DORA metrics, and they should also be looking at the advice in that research about the kinds of practices that work. And I know in that research it says that developers need to be writing tests, that continuous delivery is important to have in place, and shortening the cycle time. And I think with all of those things, that will help to highlight the problem of if there aren't enough tests, if the developers don't know how to write those tests, if the developers are struggling with their craft, and that it's preventing them from shortening their cycle times and decreasing their change failure rate and so on.
Thank you. And we have one more. Do you see a future change in architectural leadership to move more toward the coaching role, or do you see the coaching role maybe more like the Scrum Master role in many companies?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question because a technical coach is doing coaching in the same way as a Scrum Master is doing coaching. It's the same kind of skills in facilitation and mentoring and team building. There's a lot of overlap there in some of the skills, and the fact that Scrum Masters work with teams to try and help them to work better as well. That's also what the technical coach does. But I guess most of the Scrum Masters that I meet do not have the technical depth to do a technical coaching role. You really need to have been a developer before you become a technical coach. You need to have been a good developer. You need to have good engineering skills. And a lot of Scrum Masters have moved away from that aspect of their career. Whereas architects often are very technically skilled and have a lot of amazing engineering skills. So I kind of see that the technical coach is the role that you come to when you've got the skills to become an architect, but you've also got the skills to become a Scrum Master. And you can move into this role where you combine the best of both, and you get to stay technical, and you get to work with people, and you get to solve interesting problems all day. It's great. So that's kind of I see it as that it's probably easier for an architect to move towards technical coach than it is for a Scrum Master to move towards technical coach, because of the technical depth that you've got.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So hopefully this is relevant for people. Thank you for posting the link to the Accelerate book, the DORA metrics, and so on.
Welcome. Okay, I have one more from YouTube. I'll just post it here. Um, okay. What if the project managers say that you can't do it, technical coaching, I guess, or the managers generally don't want you to do it? What can you do in that case?
Yeah. So this is something that happens. I mean, when I'm in an organization coaching, I'll be all set up to do some sessions with a team and start to do some learning hours and so on. And then it's happened that the project manager comes to me like the day before we're supposed to do this, and they say, "Oh, stop! We've got a urgent, critical problem. We can't possibly have the team working on this skill development at the moment." And I just like have to replan everything. So that does happen. So I find that I mean, of course, life happens and you have to be flexible, and sometimes I just have to accept that. But I do quite a lot of work anchoring what I do with the managers. Like I said, a part of the role that perhaps isn't so glamorous is just making sure everyone in the organization knows what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, when I'm planning to do it, and that they have a chance to discuss with me if that would be an inconvenient moment. Perhaps we could move it so it's less likely to interfere with some crucial deadline or customer demo or something, and make sure that they understand that training developers, lifting their skills through this kind of coaching, is actually in the long run going to help them. and the the crux of the problem with managers and project managers not wanting you to do this is that they're thinking too short term. So you just need to really have a good dialogue and make sure that they get a say in when the coaching happens, so that they can it can be scheduled so that the long term thinking can prevail. It's not always perfect, but that's the goal.
Thank you, Emily. We actually have some feedback from Sean. I'm loving your answers. Thank you. And a follow-up question. Do you believe that practices like DevOps, SecOps, FinOps should be included in technical coaching?
Oh, wow. So that's pretty broad practices. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the answers. DevOps and SecOps and FinOps, these are all kind of umbrella terms for quite a number of practices. So I guess it's my focus when I'm coaching a team is on the way that they're writing the code. I mean, that's mostly because of my expertise, and I know very well how to do test-driven development, how to write good unit tests, how to refactor without introducing bugs, how to handle legacy code. This is my real skill set, and this is where I find that there's a lot of value from, because there's basically no one else helping the teams with those things. I think when you say DevOps and SecOps and FinOps, to the extent that that extends into the code, the way that they need to be able to understand how to spot security problems or so on. Of course, that comes into what I do. But I think there is a wider role for coaching, for leadership and coaching for the way that they work together, in the way that they whether they do pull requests or trunk-based development. These are architectural decisions that I can coach, but I would my way of working at the moment is to support the architectural decisions that the rest of the architects have made. So if they've decided that there needs to be a security review as part of the code review process, I will support that, and I will help that to happen more effectively. But that's not usually the kind of question I drive through my coaching. I'm really, really focused on the quality of the code most of the time. So I think there's got to be a dialogue with the rest of the architecture team and how we're going to manage the whole, when we look at the technical leadership that needs to happen and the kinds of practices we want to encourage, how that's going to happen. And my role is part of the architecture team to make sure that happens. Hopefully that's a good answer. If you want to come back with any more details about particular practices and whether that's something I coach, that would be easier perhaps for me to answer.
Thank you, Emily. I think that's over to you, Sean.
Right. I don't want to put anyone on the spot.
Other
There might be other questions here as well.
examples? We still have some minutes for questions, additional questions, if you have any.
Yeah.
And we will also leave the event comments on. So if you have follow-up questions in the following weeks, we will have a look and we will ping Emily so we can get an answer for you.
Cool. Yeah. And of course, this whole thing is because I'm going to be in Berlin in a few months, and then you can come and talk to me about it, in person. So this is what my talk at that conference is going to be, a much expanded version of this talk with more information and more advice. So
and the benefits of meeting you in person and chatting with you also after the talk.
Yeah, that kind of
That's
thing.
added benefits, of course. Okay, so yes, Shan has followed up. Do you ever use practices like game days as a method for learning or training?
Oh yeah, I mean, in the past I've done like code retreats, and I've seen great benefits from a whole day workshop, lean developer experience that Yvette Erdog does, and things like that. So I think this meshes well with what I do as technical coaching, and I guess the key to it all is making it relevant to the software developers' everyday code base, but at the same time making it fun and engaging and actually valuable for learning something. So it's hard to design those kinds of workshops. And then you if you're going to have a whole day for the training or the learning, that obviously needs a certain amount of planning. The advantage of the coaching that I do is that, of course, with the sessions being learning hours, quite short, or half days learning hour followed by 2 hours ensemble, that's kind of easier to fit into an ordinary schedule than these extra days. But it can be a great boost if you can get everyone together in person as well. I mean, all the coaching I do these days is remote. And I think that works very well for embedding these new practices in the way that developers actually work these days, which is often remote. But it can be fun to have one of those big events now and again. So yeah, I haven't done a lot of it, but I think it's a good idea.
Thank you, Emily. And one more from Lucian. Any new modern tools you're using on a daily basis for the architecture tasks?
Oh, right. Asking about architecture tasks. So this is a little bit tricky because I usually just, that's usually not a kind of decision I get to make. When I'm working with a team, I'm using the tools that they've got. And if I notice that the tools they've got aren't very good, of course, I can go and have a conversation with the architecture team and see if we can upgrade. But it's usually outside my control. In these large organizations, the tools that I use with the teams are the tools that someone else has decided. So I'm not sure I can come back with and say, oh yeah, there's this new modern tool that we should all be using, because usually the teams I'm working with don't have many of those. The code base is like 30 years old, and in some cases it's a struggle to even use something like Git, and Git isn't exactly new. So that's my reality with the teams I'm working with at my clients at the moment, are that the tooling isn't that new. Of course, apart from the AI tools, everyone has Copilot or some other AI tool. I mean, that's just like, okay, so we haven't got Git, but we do have Copilot. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. These tools, I think, are they're changing very rapidly, and they take a lot of skill to use. But I am hopefully helping teams to use them too. So I'm not sure I can kind of say, oh yeah, this definitely architectural tasks use this, but I work with the tools that the teams I have, and I can argue for things like Git and other tools that I think they should have, like refactoring tools. Yeah, so I usually make sure that the teams have got ReSharper or IntelliJ or something with good refactoring support too. So that's yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Maybe other technical coaches are more up to date with the latest shiny things, but I'm mostly about engineering practices, which are fairly timeless. And like I say, the engineering skills you need to succeed with AI are the same ones you need to succeed without it. And that's what I've been teaching for a lot of years now. So I'm hoping that's going to stand the test of time. Okay, so yeah. Oh, you are still you vanished from the screen. I was wondering where you'd gone.
Yes, I'm here. I was just I wanted to let people know that we have just a couple of minutes left, but we will leave the comments open, as I said, and you can meet Emily in Berlin in 3 months, almost. Check the Agile Meets Architecture website. The full schedule is online, and there is an incredible lineup, as you could see as a testimony today with Emily's talk and the answer to your questions. So we have time for one final question, if anyone has any. If not, as I said, post them afterwards and we'll make sure that we get to them.
Yeah, there's been some really good questions so far. Yeah, it feels it's kind of a strange forum where I see the question, I get to say something, and then I don't get to get the reaction. So I think it'll be much more fun in Berlin when I can answer your questions and see your face expression and actually make sure that I'm saying something relevant to you. But hopefully this gave you a taster of the kinds of things that I like to talk about. And hopefully then I'll meet many of you in the future.
Okay, thank you, Emily. I see that we have no further questions. So have a great rest of the day, everyone, and see you in Berlin.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, we do have one more if you have
Oh, there was
time.
another question. Oh, somebody was just typing slowly.
Just,
All right. Okay.
yeah. Hi, how do you ensure uptake of the subjects being coached when when you're no longer working with the teams?
Oh, yeah. So this is really important because the real test of whether I did anything useful was whether the team is still doing it after I left. And when I say left, I mean go to work with a different team, usually in the same organization. And yeah, this is important. And basically, this is one of the things I'm working with when I'm working with a team. I'm at the start of the engagement. I'm teaching new things more, and by the end of the engagement, I'm disconnecting and letting them do it more in control. And then, of course, the ideal is that when I've gone, they continue with it, and then I will come back after a gap of a suitable number of weeks or months. I will come back and work with that team again, and hopefully give them another push in the right direction and see that they are still doing some of that stuff. So I'm not sure I have any silver bullets, or more than just it's part of the skill of coaching to make sure that by the time you've finished a coaching block, the team has reached a level of competency with the new skills that they can continue after I left. So yeah, it's important.
Well, you do have some feedback, even if not via facial expression. Alex says, "Big thanks, Emily."
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And as we promised, we will follow up on the questions if there are any left, and if not, see you at the conference in March.
Yeah.
Have a great
Okay.
rest of the day.
Bye bye then.